Welcome back, fourth graders. Today we will be continuing on working on our masterpiece inspired by Vincent van Gogh. We are going to be looking at creating sunflowers. So you'll have this handout on your desk as well as this handout. So two different views of Vincent van Gogh's, and of course I encourage you to do your own. We're looking at the brush strokes. We're going to be using oil pastels, so we want to look for the texture that we can create and really have fun with some of the colors that we can use in our creation. So looking at brush strokes. The other handouts that you'll have on your table is if you want to create different vases or vases, you'll have this handout to use as a reference. We also have this handout that is a really nice reference on how to draw the sunflowers in a vase. So I'm going to kind of use this as my guide, so you also have this handy for your guide. And the last thing that you I think have on your table is something like this, which is similar to some of the flowers, the pictures, the images that Vincent van Gogh did. So you can see that some of them are dying because he would get a container full of sunflowers and continue to paint them until they started to die. So it's kind of cool how over the week he would work on his piece. So you should have already worked with your creative movements of these four squares. So this should already be in your folder so that you can look at and kind of revisit some of the strokes. This should already be done, as well as this mini masterpiece, as I like to call it. So you should have both of these done so that you can use as reference to remind you of how to create your lines. So today, to get started, you're going to grab a color sheet of the table that you're sitting at and your dice, and also use your reference sheet for all the different types of strokes that we're going to use on our oil pastels. You're going to grab the color paper that you want to use. And the color paper is all right behind me, and you can choose whatever color you like. You can create your piece vertically, or you can create it horizontally. So you choose which direction you want to do it. I think for this one, I'm going to go horizontal. I also have a horizontal one. Oh, it looks like I already used green. Oh well, I used green on the example up there. I'm going to use green again. Okay. The first thing you do once you pick your paper is turn it over and put your name and your teacher's name on it. So name and teacher. You also want to put your color of your table. You certainly can. I love it if you do that. So that's ready to go. So next we're going to warm up with our strokes. So getting our sheet of paper here and our dice, you're going to roll your dice, and it's 6. So my first row is a number 6. And 6 are these nice, thick, solid strokes. So picking any color, for the thick, solid strokes, I like to use the back of the pastel, so the flat piece. And I'm just going to, and so I used, can't hardly see them, but that's okay. I'm going to roll again. So you're going to roll about 5 times. Number 1. Number 1 on my second one is short, rough strokes. So these are a little bit shorter. Again, I'm going to use my back of my pastel and go lightly. So when you go lightly with your pastel, you'll see that the strokes look a little rougher than when you go put more pressure. So roll your dice 5 times, get 5 different strokes that you can use as your reference, and then have that aside. So our next step then is to draw. So you got your strokes ready. You're going to start drawing your masterpiece. So the first thing to do is to draw the vase. I'm going to have mine in a vase. You could also do a field of sunflowers, but I'm going to do a vase. So one easy way, and again, if I'm kind of using this as my reference, I'm going to create my vase first. I think I'm going to do a long and skinny one. Don't worry about it being symmetrical. It's okay. And I'm going to kind of flatten my base. And then I'm going to draw my table. So the table is behind the vase. So it looks like the vase is sitting on the table. You don't want the table right to the edge because your flowers would topple over. And then the next step is to draw your flowers. And again, I'm just kind of using this as my reference. So you can draw circles of however many. Odd number is usually good. So I'm going to put a couple on here. So I did where the centers of my sunflowers would be. And then I'm going to add the shapes of them. You can add petals, and again, don't worry about them being perfect. Sunflowers really aren't perfect. You can add a bunch of different strokes. So again, here I'm adding a bunch of different flowers. I am going to have some overlap, so I'm going to have to erase some of these lines. So before you start adding color, kind of look at your design and see where you have overlap so that you can erase your line. So like for this one, I'm going to kind of make it jagged, and it's going to go behind this one. So it's going to go behind. Here, I think I'll use, this one, I'm going to be inspired by this one hanging down, okay? So I'm going to leave most seeds here, and I'm going to just do the flowers on this side. So the petals, as if it's kind of drooping its head. So you're going to create your design. Once your design is done, and I'm not going to keep creating just so that you have time to create, you're then going to start working with your oil pastels. So having them ready, looking at your sheet that you did all of your different strokes with, having this sheet in front of you, you're going to start creating. So with artwork, it's especially oil pastels, it's nice to start at the top and work your way down so that you don't get your arm all in the oil pastels at the bottom. So I'm going to start at the top, and I don't have yellow. Oh, I do have yellow. Okay, so I'm just going to do some thick strokes to make sure, pretend that they are sunflowers petals. I'm going to do some more yellow here. Again, I'm not going to go too far down because I don't want my hand to be in the way. Then I'm going to add some more. Again, I'm going to use the back of the oil pastel and add some more color. So I'm just kind of laying down color. I'm going kind of fast. You can go slower. The paper is going to show through, so don't worry about covering in your paper completely. Okay, so my paper, my green paper is going to show through. I'm going to work on the centers, and I'm going to use some brown and greens, and I'm going to, and you will have black. I don't have black out. So I'm just going to go in little circle dots. So I'm going to do more of these thick, short strokes, so little short strokes. I'm just going to push down with my pastel and pretend like they're seeds. And again, I will have black available, and I'm going to also do that with green. So I'm going to look at my strokes. I might do some broken strokes, and I'm going to do broken strokes all the way around the edge and fill in a little bit with the broken strokes. So I'm doing broken strokes around the edge and filling in the middle. And I do want to add some black around it. So I'm kind of working on my two sunflowers, trying to create a variety of oil pastel strokes or brush strokes, okay? I'm going to add a little bit in the background, and you do have white. So I think I'm going to kind of play around with long strokes, long and rough. So pretend like it's going to be wallpaper. I'm going to make some long strokes to take up some of the background. Again, I'm not going too far down because I don't want my hand to be in the way. And then I'm going to also pick maybe this peachy color, and I'm going to see what some swirls look like. So I'm going to make some swirls on the wallpaper behind my sunflower. So again, kind of think about your color choices, knowing your paper is going to show through. I kind of like the way this is looking. Okay. So again, I'm starting at the top, working my way down. So my white and peach color will go all the way down to the bottom. I will add some more color in with my vase, and also then work on my table. But again, we're going to start at the top and create as we go all the way down. So enjoy working with your sunflowers inspired by Vincent van Gogh's artwork. Your I Can statements is I can learn about line and shape, so that I can draw sunflower still life inspired by Vincent van Gogh using oil pastels. I know that I have done it when my flowers take up most of the space on my paper, so we want to go big as you can. And you want to make sure that you're using a variety of different strokes. Today I will also learn about texture so that I can understand that texture using different strokes can symbolize possibly movement or even a feel of how something might feel, how the flowers or petals might feel, how the table might feel. So we're going to use texture to try and create that sense of feeling of touch. So enjoy creating your masterpiece inspired by Vincent van Gogh.